One of the most famous investors of all time, Charlie Munger, once said, "The first 100k is I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on the first 100k. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit." And as a now 24-year-old who reached their first 100k saved by 23, I'm going to give you my exact playbook that I used to go from £0 saved to 100k saved in just 3 years. And just before we get into the video, just a quick disclaimer: I am not sharing these figures to flaunt or flex the fact that I've reached this at such an early age. I'm just showing this to, one, share more money transparency in the UK, and two, show you that it's possible if you are not from an exactly affluent part of the UK. You are just a normal child with a normal wage doing normal things. So I think to set the scene, you have to go back to my childhood regarding money, how I grew up with it, how I believed money to be, and how it was talked about in my household. Now, I grew up in a very small part of the northwest of England to two parents who were absolutely amazing. I couldn't have really asked for two better parents, and I didn't really have any struggles per se as a child, but we weren't affluent either. We didn't have loads of money. We were just really a normal family with a normal amount of income. Now, from a young age, I didn't really hear money talked about too much. I seen my mum budget every pound to the absolute penny, but that was about it. It could just be because I was an ignorant kid and didn't really pay much attention. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't really have any financial education from school, from anyone surrounding me. It was kind of just not really talked about. I think almost every person in the UK can relate to this. Money is a very taboo subject, whether you've got it in bunches or whether you don't have much at all. It's not really talked about. Now, although I talked about money probably a lot more with my parents than other people, there still felt like there was a gap in financial education. Like, I didn't really know what to do with myself, and this led me into the next stage of my life, which was falling for the get rich quick schemes. I made a video last week about the get rich quick schemes and how dangerous they can be for young, impressionable adults who are just getting started on their financial journey and don't really know where to go. So if you want to check that out, I definitely highly recommend watching that before you come back to this. But essentially, I didn't really fall for the traditional path of getting paid, earning it, spending it, and then repeating. I kind of put all my money into these baskets of get rich quick schemes and then lost loads of money at once. So it was kind of a very harsh lesson from very early on. In fact, I remember me and my mate going to flannels as a 17 or 18-year-old into the top floor section where all the belts are and saying, when we get our first paycheck, we're going to spend it all on Gucci belts and designer clothes. And I think because of all of the content I consumed online, I thought that is how you get rich, or how you look rich at least, and how you display wealth to other people. Not to mention me starting a dropshipping business at 17 and completely losing £2,000 of my parents' savings for me, falling for Ponzi schemes, picking individual stocks, falling for Forex schemes, just literally everything you could think of, I fell for. Oh yeah, and I sold this random wellness product that was basically just an MLM. They hired me, just some random 19-year-old kid, to sell some wellness product that helped with energy and your gut health. Like, I would literally do anything to try and just make a quick buck. And I think this is really where the mindset started to shift. I always believed from 17 that I could make money, but the way I was doing it was completely wrong. And now I knew I had to understand the basics of money and get financially educated and learn the principles of personal finance. The first book I read where I really seen that shift was I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. This was basically the godfather for me. He was like the first person I actually watched and realized, oh my God, this is real personal finance. This is how you build systems to save automatically on payday, invest your money, learn about your money psychology and the basics of personal finance. That book was the first step for me where I realized you can't just get rich quick. It will happen slowly. Like, think of the best physiques. You look at people on the Olympia stage with massive six packs and massive muscles. They've trained years and years to get them physiques. Look at all the best businesses in the world. Apple, Tesla, Google, all of these businesses have been curated over years and years. They've went through a real financial crisis and God knows other worldly events and still continue to grow over a long time period. I think then for me was the massive turning point where I had to unlearn all of the noise, all of the crypto gurus on Twitter, all of the get rich quick schemes online that I'd seen, all of the drop shipping gurus, all of the overnight success myths. I just had to unlearn this all and dedicate myself to real personal finance. I think the only small win that I took from these get rich quick schemes was getting out of the UK's mindset of tall poppy syndrome, thinking that making money or doing something meaningful is cringe. I think the UK has a very complicated relationship with ambition and wealth and wanting to better yourself instead of just going the traditional route of always going to school, going to university, getting a 9 to 5, and that is all your life consists of. I think from that moment on, I stopped surrounding myself with people who didn't have any ambition or didn't believe anything else other than the traditional mindset was possible. Instead of thinking that's not for people like me, I started to question, why can't it be me instead? Why can't I build a successful business? Why can't I build an amazing physique? Why can't I do all these amazing things that only other people could dream of doing? I know it does sound a bit woo-woo, but you will have to trust me on this one. Belief will always come before action. And I know what you're all thinking, what about the actual practical steps to reach your first 100k? But I thought it was super important to go through the mistakes and the mindset shift that you have to take in order to even believe that the practical steps are possible to reach your first 100k. Because as Dave Ramsey said, in order to be good with money, 80% of that comes from behavior and only 20% comes from the actual knowledge and steps that it takes to get there. Now, obviously it wasn't perfect, but the first thing I'd say is honestly just start small. Start saving a very small percentage of your take-home pay and invest in a very small percentage of your take-home pay and just automating them payments. When I started doing this, I just noticed a massive shift. I didn't even realize you could set up a standing order when I started. It was just a very new thing to me, but the fact that you've automated it and paid yourself first and made saving and investing a priority is probably better than most of the UK. Now, I'm not saying you have to become obsessive with it, but I would say to track your milestones, track when you've hit your first £200 saved, when you've hit your first £500 saved, 1k, 5k, 10k, etc. Track your income and outgoings. I'm not saying you have to be obsessive with it and literally track every single penny you spend. Just track your money in percentages, your fixed costs, your fun money, and your future fund, meaning your savings and investments. Just get used to the psychological power of seeing progress. When I started investing, I started with £50 a month, literally £50 a month. Over time, obviously, I increased that number. That's why I'm at a 30k plus portfolio now, but I did start very small and then realized, oh wait, I can invest more every single month. Just simply taking an interest into your own personal finances and personal finance as a whole, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, looking at budgeting templates, just taking an interest of personal finance will put you ahead of 95% of the UK, because a lot of us just don't care. And I do always get questions of like, what's the point of investing £50 a month, or what's the point of saving just £25 into a high yield savings account? It's building the habit of saving, it's building the habit of investing, so that when you start to earn more money, that habit hasn't disappeared. You've still got it from your previous life, meaning only small amounts, but then you can transfer that over to now, where you can save 200, 300, maybe even up to £1,000 every single month. And honestly, you'll be surprised how much this small amount will turn into. I have a friend who'd started investing with the same as me, £50 a month. Now he's on like a £7,000 portfolio in just a year, and he only started with £50 a month and put in little chunks aside, and now he's at that number and he hasn't seen a difference in his quality of life. He just stuck to the game plan, automated it every month, and realized, oh my god, like this is possible. However, on to the next step, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. The UK is a very tough place to live right now. There is a lot of poverty. The cost of living crisis is still going on. I'm not hiding from that fact. I think a lot of people are struggling and they are beginning to penny pinch and try and save money wherever they can just to afford the basic necessities of life. Which is why I do encourage you to find a side hustle that you like and that you can stick to, because if you can earn more than one source of income, because you kind of have to in today's society, then you can start to save and invest all of this extra cash that you're earning on the side, because you were probably living okay with just your normal salary, but if you can add a side income onto that, even if it's only £200 a month, that is going to make a massive difference in your savings and investments and just your overall quality of life in the long term. For me, I was lucky to find content creation. I started making money from videos within around a year of posting videos, but that was with seeing no results prior to that. It was posting when no one was watching basically, and then it finally translated into money. But honestly, I didn't even start this content creation thing to make money in the first place, and I think the level of passion that I have for personal finance is the reason why I started making money from it. And I think if you can find something you're just as passionate about, you can do the same too. Obviously, as you know, if you watched the beginning of the video, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I've been trying to start a business or side hustles for the past 6, maybe 7 years now. No memes, please. But I just tried my luck. I kept on showing up. I stayed persistent. When I went through all of this get rich quick stuff, I still believed there was a way to make money online. I just hadn't found it yet. And I think just staying persistent allowed me to reach that final end goal of finding content creation, the real side hustle that was going to make me some money. But honestly, if I can just fast track you here, avoid all the get rich quick schemes. You don't need to go through all that. Just start with maybe content creation, even if it's faceless videos. And if you're brave enough to show your face, definitely do that about something you're passionate about. And then maybe you can monetize that through brand deals, affiliates, UGC. You can do it so many ways. And then there's also other side hustles such as mystery shopping, just simply getting cash back, maybe vintage, selling old clothes that you don't use anymore. You've got market research, reselling. There are actually so many side hustles out there that you can do to make some money on the side. Once again, it all just stems back to believing that it's possible to make money from your phone or from your laptop. I know that sounds proper get rich quick scheme bro of me, but it is actually possible to make money from your phone. From my experience, if you can find something that doesn't feel like a chore on the side of your full-time job, that is the side hustle that you can stick to the most, because you actually like it. If you like something, you can be more consistent with it and you're much more likely to carry it on even if you face some level of adversity. But unfortunately, this does come at some level of cost. When I started my content creation business, I was doing it for almost 2 years with a 9 to 5, basically sacrificing every weekday evening just to post content without really knowing any guaranteed results at all. My typical day would consist of getting up and going to work, then going to the gym, then recording and editing videos until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm not saying you have to be on this level. You don't have to post every day like I did and be as psychotic as I was, kind of sacrificing pretty much every weekday just to get content out. But all I'm saying is you will have to sacrifice something at least, even if it's only 2 or 3 evenings out of your week, to do something to make some money on the side. And honestly, looking back at it now, it was probably one of the hardest things I had to do. Obviously, boxing camp was way worse, which is probably one of the reasons why I stuck at this. But definitely balancing a 9 to 5, exercise, and then doing my business on the side was one of the hardest times of my life, definitely looking back now. But kind of in the moment, I didn't really feel like it was that tough, because the side hustle I was doing on the side was something I actually enjoyed. If it was a side hustle I didn't enjoy, I would have quit a very long time ago. So I think the 3 core takeaways to take from this video is 1, becoming financially literate early, because the gap between those who learn this at 20 versus 40 is absolutely massive. 2, believing wealth is possible for you no matter who your family is, where you were raised, who you were raised by. Wealth is achievable for you. And number Number 3, some sacrifice is necessary, but protect what matters most to you, your family, relationships, and your health. Apart from that, make sure your standing order is set up so you are automating a percentage of your take-home pay that you are comfortable saving and investing. Because the difference between someone who is poor and someone who is wealthy is saving money last instead of saving money first. So if you found this video useful, send it to a friend who might need to hear this, like and subscribe, and comment your thoughts on this as well. But if you do want more personal finance content just like this, make sure to watch my next video.